Hello, I'm going to be reviewing this book set from the company Lovevery. I believe it's called the New Sibling book set. It's available for purchase via Lovevery Australia's website. It's a set of 4 books on the topic of having your baby sibling on the way. And it's sort of told from the perspective of 4 different kids, all of whom are expecting a sibling shortly at different stages of the process. And the cost of these 4 books is $90. So I'll go into my motivation for purchasing it, a little bit about Lovevery, a little bit of background, shipping, packaging, and then I'll go through the standard checklist points about essentially whether I think it's worth your money. So to begin with, I purchased it because we are expecting our second child, and it depends on the nature of your child, how old they are, and how they learn. So my son loves books, so for us, books are an excellent way to communicate information. He's still very young, so he relies largely on the pictures to understand the narrative and the themes and what's happening. My apologies, I'm going to have to take pauses and breaths because they're a little bit breathless at this point as everything gets squished with the growing baby pushing everything up and pushing on my diaphragm. So, the premise, I hope, is fairly straightforward of the purpose of the books, why they exist, because obviously there are a lot of families that do choose to have more than one child, and it's a huge adjustment for the first child. So Lovevery, if you're not familiar with the company, is a Montessori-based toy and book company. They were founded around 15 years ago, and they've been hugely successful. The original product they launched was actually their baby play gym, and that I think was a first of its kind product to the market, and I will be reviewing that as well in a different video, but just by way of background, they started with that product, they launched with that, and after coming to the market with that, they saw pretty huge success, and then they launched their toy subscription kits, which I feel as though they're probably better known for now, and they're Montessori-based developmental toy kits. Each toy kit comes with a book. And the trick with that one is you can't buy all of the books separately. They have what I'll call these standalone products, book products, which you can just purchase in isolation from the website. And then they have other books which come with the kits only. So they sort of, you get sucked into needing to buy them. Obviously the second-hand market exists for these books because they are pretty popular, and the kits, but the comment I'll make about the second-hand market for Lovevery is it's not great, particularly as an Australian. I had a look across Marketplace and eBay, and I wasn't blown away by, the condition the books were being sold in was obviously not amazing because they're being used by small children, and the prices that people are asking for, particularly the American and British sellers, by the time you'd paid our, dreadful conversion rate to Australian dollars, you may as well just buy the products new. So unless you can find someone who's reselling their kits for a reasonable price, and to give you an idea of a reasonable price, a friend of mine resold her kits, which retail for between $150 to $195, I believe, per kit, depending on the kit itself. She resold hers for $80. So if you've got if you can get your hands on Lovevery products for around half of the retail price, I feel like that's pretty reasonable. But aside from that, save your money and just buy them directly from Lovevery. Lovevery is positioned as a premium Montessori toy and book manufacturer, so the prices reflect that. I'll admit I originally was pretty floored by the price of $90 for 4 books, and I didn't buy this kit for a few months because I was sort of grumbling to myself about the fact that they were wanting $90 for what is essentially a pretty simple product. And ultimately I just decided that for my son, he loves this product, and now I suppose I'll launch into why. Just quickly before I do though, shipping is via Australia Post. Shipping isn't free unless you spend, I believe, over $100 on the website, so fell short of the threshold with this one, but I was ordering another product, which I'll review in another video shortly, so I didn't pay for shipping technically, but I was happy it was via Australia Post. I know everyone loves to bash Australia Post recreationally, particularly on Instagram, but the comment I'll make is that if you live in an area like we do that has package theft issues, Australia Post is good because they won't just leave it somewhere unsafe. Typically, at least my local posties are quite good. They take it back to the post office, because if I've paid $90 for 4 board books, I would like them to be taken safely to the post office, and that's exactly what happened with this. Next, it was packaged well, packaged sensibly as a box to house the books, so they weren't damaged. They arrived in great condition. And yeah, so circling back around to why I think these products are good, the purpose is to essentially role play scenarios that will be challenging for the first child as a result of a new sibling entering the home. And so there is a narrative arc to these books. They use beautiful, simple language, and the images are each kind of page spread or fold out. I'm not sure what the technical term is, but each side-by-side page, one page will have the text, one page will have the image, and the format is stable the whole way through, which is perfect for toddlers. I think it gives them that continuity. Oh, I tell a lie. In this case, it's spread across 2 pages, but yeah, that's virtually it. It's pretty uniform across all the books. And the best part about these books, why they work so well, in my opinion, and why they are, in fact, I can't believe I'm saying it, worth the money, is the images. These beautiful, high-quality images of, I believe it's actually real families and real customers, if I'm not mistaken. I think I read that somewhere. That they've gone to the trouble of having a photographer take and stage, and everyone's in costumes. Obviously, they've got the shameless product plugs for the Lovevery products throughout each book. Like, that's their play scarf, and underneath it is a puzzle they sell, which, I mean, that's par for the course, I suppose. But the pictures are just so well done. It took a lot of time, effort, and money to get such high quality images, and the focus on the facial expressions is really, really useful. From a Montessori perspective with books, the objective is that the books depict real life situations. I'm not strictly Montessori when it comes to books. I have a bunch of, I'll show you actually. I've got a bunch of these books by Julia Donaldson, which obviously these are aliens. And if you're being strictly Montessori, you wouldn't introduce this until the child is older, because they struggle to distinguish between fantasy creatures or fantasy circumstances and non-fantasy creatures and circumstances. But anyway, that's beside the point. Back to the review. Yeah, so the pictures are the best part, and I think they justify the price point of the whole product, if I'm honest. If it weren't for these, I probably wouldn't buy them. And the language is beautiful and simple. Gives you clues about which words to emphasize as well, which I think is important. If you kind of just read all of the words in the same way, with the same style of delivery, and you don't emphasize some of them, I think a bit of the emphasis is lost. Let me find an example. See here, they've highlighted the word owl in a different color, so which prompts you as the person reading to the small child to emphasize that word. It's a small thing, it's a small detail, but it does actually help me to read it in a way that is better for him ultimately, I think, my son. And look, without sort of carrying on too much about that, I do think the purpose is sound, and the execution is very, very good. The only thing I would say along the lines of execution and quality is that they've done it as, again, I'm not sure of the technical term, but they've done it as a raw edge style board book. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, but what it means is that, you know, my boisterous son is just going to, at some point, drop them, step on them, put them down a bit too roughly on the corner. They're already showing signs of wear and tear, which, given I've owned them for a few weeks, I don't know, I'm a bit pedantic about that sort of thing. And I just think, gosh, if you just chosen a slightly different cover style. Like this one, for example, it's got what I would call a wrapped corner. So they've got the cardboard underneath, paper along the top, the glossy finish paper, which is easy to wipe, just like this one. Very handy for toddlers as they smear their food across the cover. And the pages, they can be wiped with a baby wipe. This one, there's just nothing to, there's no protection along the edge. Whereas this one, it's much more hardy. These books are looking a lot better for their age as a result of just that slightly better production. So that's, yeah, may or may not be important to you, but I think if I were giving feedback to Lovevery, some constructive criticism, that would be it. Change the format of them to just make them a bit more hard-wearing given who's using them. My apologies for my cat. And the next thing is practicality. They are probably a little heavier than they look. So we do a fair few weekend trips away. I'd love to take the whole set for a weekend trip into a carry-on bag, but they're pretty heavy, to be honest, and they actually take up a reasonable amount of room, so I'd probably only take one or two. So that's something to bear in mind if you plan on, you know, popping them in the nappy caddy or the pram or the car, traveling with them, etc. And I suppose I don't want to harp on too much more, but I think, I think it is important to give that extra level of detail. At this price point, $90 is a significant amount of money. As I said in my previous video, I think it's important to think really carefully about what you spend your money on in this current economic climate. And I'm also a big fan of being a conscious consumer, so I like to support brands that I feel are producing a product that is, I guess, superior in some way, or trailblazing, or doing it better, or setting a new standard. And I love Lovevery as a brand. I love it pretty much. I would say the majority of their products I think are really, really good, and are not just marketing hype, because boy oh boy do they spend a lot on marketing. As a parent, I just have not been able to escape their marketing. They are onto you. Their social media marketing budget must be enormous, particularly across Facebook and Instagram. But you know, I'm not going to say I love everything they do and there's no problems with any of it. There's always areas that can be improved, and I've highlighted those here. And in future, I'll be reviewing all the Lovevery products I have bought and any others I buy as time goes on, so you can get an idea, at least from my perspective, my 2 cents for what it's worth of what is worthwhile spending your money on, and what you could probably get from elsewhere at a cheaper price point, because their stuff is not cheap, and I think it's important we just acknowledge that very openly. Last point, do I think that the value for money is there? Yes, I do. And if I lost these all tomorrow, or they all got destroyed in water, I would actually buy the set again and replace the set again, because they're that good. So I think that's a fairly good litmus test to attest to the fact that this is a good product. And from a Montessori perspective, it checks the boxes of depicting real life scenarios, depicting people doing activities of daily living. And it's the kind of thing that it is open-ended in terms of its concept. You'll enjoy these books regardless of whether you're in the season of life where you are introducing new children, or whether you're past that phase. The books, the book can outlive the season for which it was bought, which I think is great too. If you can get your hands on this one secondhand and it's cheaper than what it's going to cost off the website, do it. Otherwise, if you've got someone who you think would benefit from this as they add second or third or fourth children to their family, then I think it would be a fantastic gift. If $90 is within your gift giving budget, yeah, they're pretty wonderful. I'm really happy with them. That's all I have to say. Thank you for listening.